Hi, this is Scott Garibay, and I'm going to talk about Otakon 2016, and I'm going to talk about real robot versus super robot, right? So this is a concept that was talked about in one panel at Otakon called Mechapocalypse. It was done. I'm really sorry I forgot the presenter. I'll try to put that in the doobly-doo below. Try to put that in the comments on who actually gave this who gave the Mechapocalypse panel. But they were brilliant. The presenters for the Mechapocalypse panel at Otakon 2016 brought forward just this one idea that I wanted to talk about. So what they did was they did a deconstruction of the mecha subgenre of anime. And it was excellent, really, really fantastic. And they talked about real robot versus super robot. And they explained, well, what is a super robot? So a super robot is a robot that within Mecha, right? So it's a robot in a mecha show in anime who is going to do whatever the story needs that robot to do. So these robots, if the robot pulls out a sword and, and cuts a monster in half, a super robot, that shouldn't surprise you because a super robot can do whatever it wants to do, okay? Super robots are powered by friendship, by the willpower of the pilot, by the angst of the pilot. If the pilot cries, there'll be more energy that will come out of the engine of the robot, And one of the things that was interesting, I've watched a lot of mecha animes. I love mecha anime. Mecha is my favorite subgenre of anime. Absolutely love it, right? And so when they talked about super robot, it was a great deconstruction of the subgenre. And one of the reasons why is the second they said it, I was like, oh yeah, I know those. So a really good example of that is Escaflowne. So Escaflowne is a super robot. Like that robot, it's literally magical, and it's made out of bone, and and the relationship or how the pilot is feeling is really important to how the mech actually performs, right? Now, what is a real robot? So a real robot within the mecha subgenre is a robot that is, what is it again? Oh, it's military equipment. Real robots are military equipment, right? And so perfect example of a real robot is Gundam. So Gundam generally, especially the 1 century material, those, they're looking at Gundam, they're looking at mecha from the perspective of them being military equipment, right? And so that, so a real robot, it can only do the things that have been defined for that robot to do, right? So it has a specific engine. If that engine can get it from Earth to the moon in a day, it doesn't matter if the pilot tries really hard, it can't get to Earth. You can't get from Earth to the moon in an hour, right? Whereas a super robot could do that, especially if its pilot shed tears or just broke up or whatever, right? So and I thought that was really, really interesting. So Gundam is so that was the concept, real robot versus super robot. I thought it was a really awesome insight into the subgenre. As soon as you hear it, you're like all these animes just dropped into these boxes for me. Like I'm like, oh, this is super anime, it's just super robot, and this is real robot. Some are a little genre bending, or some kind of fit in both boxes. Like I think Neon Evangelion really fits into both boxes. So you have what those robots can do is really defined. But they're also supernatural element. They're fighting these supernatural creatures. Like the mecha that they fight, it's hard to tell if they're angels or demons or monsters or if they're just pure steel mecha. Really hard to tell. One of the things that they did in the panel, I definitely want to say, these are the ideas of the panelists, who I will put in the comments so that you'll know who it is. But they were so one of the things they talked about was what are the big core pillar animes. Gundam is an absolute core pillar anime of the mecha genre, of the mecha subgenre of anime. So Gundam is not a series, it's not an anime show, it's not an anime series. It is a series of series. There's Seed, there's Wing, there's Unicorn, there's 00 Century, I think. There's many I didn't list. There are multiple series of Gundam. Gundam is, and it is an absolute bedrock foundation of the mecha subgenre. It impacts almost everything there is in mecha subgenre because it's so good, right? And because there's so much of it, right? Not all of it is awesome. Some of it's not great, but a large portion of it is good, and some of it is phenomenal, right? Neon Evangelion. What Neon Evangelion did was it came along after Gundam, and how it differentiated itself was it said, what if piloting a 100 foot, super robot, a 100 foot mecha robot was not awesome? What if it was painful? What if it took all your time? And what if it really kind of stunk, right? And that really was a very unusual aspect of the anime. It brought something new to the entire subgenre, something that had not really been dealt with to that point. And that made it really special. And Neon Evangelion, they talked about it. Like, there's lots of fans here of Neon Evangelion in America, but in Japan, it is considered an absolute classic, right? And they absolutely love it to this day. They can't get enough of it. Like, Japanese people just love Neon Evangelion. They also talked about Gurren Lagann. Gurren Lagann is a favorite among mecha fans. It's arguably not even a mecha subgenre anime. It is, it's very action-oriented and it's comedy-oriented. So those two things right there make it really kind of different from a specific perspective of it's very hard to even describe. So just the fact that it is comedy-oriented, and it definitely has super robots, not real robots. But Gurren Lagann, what it brought to the mecha subgenre was comedy. Really more than anything else. It's by far the most successful comedy anime. So Gundam, Evangelion, Gurren Lagann, those are the real pillars of the anime subgenre. And so they're very really interesting. It was Mechapocalypse was an absolutely fantastic panel, and if you're interested, I wrote an article about it on nerdarchy.com, and you can go read it there if you wanted to hear even more than what I just said here. Thanks. Take care, everybody.